Welcome to Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. My name is Bornancin, a serial salesperson and entrepreneur, and I'm sitting down with the world's best sales experts to share their top secrets to sales success. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. You can order a copy of the book at secretsalesbook.com. That's secretsalesbook.com. And today I am thrilled, honored, humbled, and grateful to have with me one of my good friends, Cory Bray. Cory is the author of Sales Development, Cracking the Code of Outbound Sales. He also wrote the Sales Enablement Playbook and his most recent, soon-to-be bestseller, Triangle Selling, which I can't wait to read. He's also the CEO of Clozeloop, one of the top sales consulting agencies. Cory, thank you so much for joining us today. Thrilled to have you.
Thanks, Brandon. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, so I know probably half of our audience has read one of your books, seen your LinkedIn posts, you name it. But you know, the goal of this show is twofold. One, let's go through who Cory Bray is. How'd you get started in sales? What's your background? What are the sales successes, failures, and learning takeaways that you've had everywhere that you've sold? And then, of course, the audience is dying to know. Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. What is your number one top sales secret? But let's get started with, dude, where'd you come from? How'd you get started in sales? Give us some background.
Yeah, so I studied entrepreneurship at Wharton, and they don't focus on sales. They don't teach you sales. I think Wharton has one sales management class for MBAs. Other than that, they're just like, oh yeah, sales is an academic, which I'm trying to change. So I'm working on them and some other folks.
Awesome.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. And Wharton's an amazing school, by the way. I love how you just like downplay, like, yeah, I just went to Wharton.
Yeah, it is, but they don't have a sales program, which they need. So maybe they go up in the rankings one or two. I don't know. So my first real job was I met this guy who was the CFO of this company that had grown from 20 to 100 people, and it was a complete disaster operationally. But at the same time, the guys that owned the company, they had a bunch of money and they were trying to do a bunch of investment stuff. And so he basically said, hey, come work with me. We're going to fix this big operating company. And then we're going to go build companies, invest in companies, do all this fun, crazy stuff. And so I went there, and one of the first things I noticed was that the sales team was a bunch of folks who had sold the same products to the same people for about 25 years.
Got it.
And I start walking around, and he says, can you go figure out ways for us to make more money? I said, well, why do they only sell stuff to their friends? And so started digging in there a little bit, and soon realized that there's a huge market opportunity. And this is my first sales experience, if you will, was from more of the analytical side, saying, okay, there's 100 companies that could buy our product. We're only even talking to 30 of them. And so how do we figure out how to get in front of the other folks and then create some revenue, some profit that way, and then come back and maybe look at the effectiveness of the interactions with that other 30% of the folks. And so that was the project. That was a lot of fun.
And what was that place called?
I don't know. We don't need to drop names. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Got it.
100-person family business out of Houston. Not my family.
Awesome. So 100-person business, you came in, you saw that it was just a bunch of kind of senior salespeople selling to friends and family, not really prospecting, not hunting.
No.
And then
I got him to let me hire 3 junior folks, train them. So then that was my sales training. My first experience is sales training, Sales Enablement in 2007.
Awesome.
Go around, sit with all the senior salespeople, and just interview them, compile everything that they're doing well into a knowledge base, make notes of things that maybe I thought they could do better, and read a bunch of sales books, talk to some other folks that were sales leaders. And as we onboarded these folks, the new people, they just start crushing it because they're talking to all these people that could buy the product that have never talked to us before.
Yep. Prospecting. That's funny.
Amazing how it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you pick up the phone and start prospecting, you'll be able to drive more revenue. That's interesting.
Yeah. So then we grew that team, the junior folks, from 3 to 7 over the course of like 6 months. We just immediately said, okay, this is working. Let's get more of them. And then instead of just having I think the sales team had 25 people or so, it still remained around that level for a little bit, but we just replaced some of the folks that just were literally doing nothing all day with junior folks that were just getting after it.
Awesome. And they probably cost like what, half?
Yeah.
If not more.
Well, half and nothing. And the senior folks ended up doing better because it was like everybody just worked together to create a strong organization. It was a beautiful thing.
Awesome. So that was like your first array into sales. Wow. And then what was the biggest sales success learning experience that you took away from that?
If you put fundamentals in place, people have something that they can repeat, something that they can do successfully. And if you don't, then people rely on anecdotes and they're overwhelmed with false positives and false negatives. And when I say false positives and false negatives, I mean, they might think that doing something that we would consider wrong is the right thing to do. That's the false positive. Or false negative is, I did what Cory told me 3 times and it didn't work. So that means that his plan doesn't work.
Got it. Yeah,
and
that's interesting.
Ridiculous. I mean, sometimes there's a true negative, but it's like you get in these little worlds and you say, well, I talked to this person 3 times and they said no. So it means that anybody like them could never buy from us.
Yep. Now, how did you handle at that time the people that would use your knowledge base, use your strategy, but then fail the 3 times and say, hey, Cory's wrong because I tried this 3 times. It didn't work.
Yeah. Well, we'd go figure out if other people were doing the same things and having success, and then just getting deeper around what the differences were between different people's approaches.
Yeah. The coaching, the dialing into
because then if we say we've got this playbook and it says do X and Brandon is doing X, it's not working for him. I might go over to Sarah and say, hey, Sarah, are you doing X? And she says, yeah, I am. Is it successful? Yeah. Well, I'm concerned because some of the other folks aren't having success with it. What might they be doing? And then all of a sudden you start, because at that point I wasn't in a direct selling role, but I had this, it was nice because I could observe all the different people from different angles. And I was also
all the success.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we could dig in. So
that's awesome. So then from there, what was next? So
we had a lot of success growing the sales team. And so the owners of the company decided to fire the guy that was head of operations that oversaw the 70-person operations team and gave me his job.
Okay. So does that mean like you had to manage sales and ops now?
I didn't manage. So I was trying to be the sales manager, but I was 26 and they wouldn't let me do it.
Okay.
And so I had logistics, warehouse. It was an industrial distribution company. Logistics, warehouse, accounting, which was a peach, and analysts and purchasing and all that kind of stuff. And so it was basically all the people that supported sales.
Wow.
I was the guy that the salespeople would just come at hard. And this is redneck territory, east side of Houston. And so it is
in
not
Texas
when one of the orders gets messed up.
Dude, that's funny. That's funny. Okay. So you move into operations.
Yeah.
Walk us through, did you love it? Did you hate it?
No, it was a lot of fun. And the thing is that it's all operations is about is execution and making sure that the customers get what they've ordered. And so it was a lot of time meeting with customers, a lot of time working with salespeople. And then I did the thing where for a couple of periods of time, I would be a backup salesperson. So I'd sit at the sales desk while somebody go on vacation just so I could get my ear on the pulse of things.
It almost sounds like product development. Like when you're saying that, I'm thinking like, oh, this is what my product dev team does.
Yeah.
Like they're building product, they're meeting with customers, they're trying to figure out new features, new bugs that we got to fix, all the above.
Totally. So I sat at the sales desk. And I remember one time I was sitting there and in the absurdity of some of the procedures these folks were going through, it was just the most inefficient, backwards thing in the world. So I just said, my time, I got to fix this. And it's fun. You just iterate and make things better.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Okay. That's awesome. And then, so were you, how long did you do that ops role for then?
So I did that for 2 years. And then awesome. I realized that between the impact that we had on the sales side and on the operations side, I've always been an entrepreneur. So I said, I'm going to go try to figure out if I can just do this for a bunch of companies. So I left to start a consulting business. And I was talking to one of my mentors and he said, you're never going to be successful at this if you don't really learn how to sell. And so he introduced me to the guy that was the local Sandler franchisee.
Nice.
He said, go talk to him. So I went and talked to him. And I said, okay, well, I need to learn how to sell. And then he does this whole thing. basically, he said, if you want to learn how to sell, I'll teach you. You need to come to class 2 hours a week. We'll do 1 hour a week of coaching, and you need to give me $10,000.
I was about to say, there's got to be a price tag to it, right?
And I said, okay, let's do it. And I think I had like $50,000, and I just gave this dude $10,000 because it sounded like it was the thing that was standing between me and getting where I needed to go. And it was the best money I ever spent.
Dude, that's crazy. So that was like your first real training education, sales training education.
Yeah, I'd been around good mentors, but nothing to the point of what that was, which was 3 hours a week for a whole year. And then it extended years beyond that in the future. But yeah, that was a great experience. So
you hear that you need to learn how to sell. You go hire this Sandler local franchise for $10,000. You start the program, and then what happens?
So then I'm trying to figure out how to do product development. You got to get consulting business. You can't just go out and be like, hey, I know things, because nobody believes you.
Right. And they're always going to ask you probably like, what customers did you do it for? And you're like, well, I'm just starting.
Yeah. Right. And then you got to go through that fun dance. So I started trying to figure out what's going on, and I'm real into analytics, because my first 2 years on the job, between that, I didn't talk about all the investment and private equity stuff that we did. That's not that interesting for this conversation, but it was hilarious to some extent.
Oh, sweet. Did you do the private equity stuff before? Because I know you studied economics at Wharton, right? Did you do the private equity stuff before in the investing?
Well, no, it was when I was working at that company, helping the sales team. We had a different office, and I was like working, 70, 80 hours a week, going back and forth between the two of them. And it was awesome.
And then when you say like the investing stuff, like were you guys like, because it was, you said it was an industrial manufacturing. So like, were they hedging bets? Like,
no. So
like commodities?
We started a life settlement business. Do you know what life settlements are?
Life settlements?
Yeah. You buy old people's insurance. So say somebody has all their kids, they grow up, they go off to college, but people have this life insurance policy. They say, we don't need a life insurance policy anymore. So if you have one of these, you can sell it to me. Say it's a $5 million policy. You can sell me the life insurance policy for like $200,000. You get $200,000 in cash. And then I keep paying the premiums. And when you die, I get $5 million.
Damn, sounds amazing.
And so we started finding these people who had these assets these policies that had built up value in the marketplace, and they wanted to unlock the cash either for themselves or their children. And so we take on the policies, package them up, sell them off to investors for a higher rate of return than you can get the stock market.
Oh my God, I love it.
That was fun. We bought a vodka company. That was a lot of fun.
What?
Don't ever buy a vodka company, by the way. It's the dumbest investment you can make. But
really? Why?
So here's how vodka works. Do you know what the most, think about Grey Goose, a bottle of Grey Goose. What's the most expensive component of a bottle of Grey Goose?
Potato.
No, the bottle.
Glass, the bottle. Yeah, that was my second guess.
Expensive.
What's up?
What's the second most expensive?
The printing on the bottle, maybe? I don't know.
Taxes.
What is it?
Taxes.
Axes?
Taxes.
Oh, taxes. Got it.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, it's the vodka and Grey Goose, a $25, $30 bottle of Grey Goose, the vodka costs like 80 cents, 90 cents.
Wow.
It's just and everybody wants theirs. And so then all of a sudden you get this vodka, you got the supplier and the distributor and the retailer and the on-premise person. And then eventually the salesperson's like, I need a TV if I sell the most of this. And then all of a sudden we're just buying TVs for people. We bought more TVs for people in Chicago than Santa Claus did that year.
You said TVs?
Yeah, man.
What? How did the TV relate to the vodka?
Because you got to pay spiffs for the salespeople.
Got it.
So,
damn.
This was a good lesson in sales too. If you're going to have contract salespeople who have all these different types of products to sell, then you should probably make sure that you got enough money to go pay all the pipers. Pay the pipers.
Pay the piper. Yeah. Did you see me just post on LinkedIn? I just posted about pay the piper.
Oh, that's great.
How rent is due every day. Okay, so hold on, dude. I feel like you missed like some of the most badass parts of this story. So you're working at this industrial manufacturing company. You then get into private equity where you're buying like life, what do you call that? Life
settlements.
Life settlements.
Oh, it was,
which is that still a bit like, that sounds like a gold mine. Is that like, were you guys making like rakes of cash from that?
We're spending rakes of cash because you got to invest in them years before they actually mature. And so you
got to have a long runway.
Yeah, I've got a couple of buddies that are still in the business. But this is the funny part, real quick. So the funny part is there's this guy named Chris Allmendinger who wanted to be partners with us. And he comes and he says, hey, I've done life settlements. I know the business. I want to be a partner in your firm. And he's telling us all these things. And he's just one of those really slick, stockbroker type, hair slicked back, $1,000 suit. Almost
too greasy looking, like too hedged up, right?
Yeah. So he's telling us all these things. Well, fast forward, if you Google Chris Allmendinger, you'll get a copy of the American Greed episode that he was on.
Oh, gosh. What did he do? What did he do?
We didn't do business with him because we thought, we were like, something doesn't work. But the first time I met him, man, like we met at a Starbucks. He says, hey, hop in my Maserati. We'll go back to my house. I hop in his Maserati. We pull up. He parks it right next to his yellow Lamborghini. I'm like, damn, this guy's awesome. And then all these things. And then eventually I'm looking at my boss. I'm like, I don't understand how this guy makes money. And I don't think he does either.
What was he doing at the time that he had the Maz and the Lambo?
He was doing life settlements, but he was doing them in a way that was not in compliance with federal regulations.
Oh, gosh. And now he's in jail on American Greed.
Yeah. So anyways.
Dude, you got super lucky there, man. That's a sales lesson. Like, go with your intuition, with customers, with partners, with employers. Holy shit. Like, what if you would have said, okay, this guy's making bank. You partner with him. And then Cory, Bray, and whatever the guy's name is. What's the guy's name again?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Is on American Greed, dude. Instead of writing your 3 sales books, you would have been the guy on the star of the episode. Okay, so you did that before the vodka, right?
That was all. No, it was all concurrently. Like, we're building a sales team.
You guys are so ADD, dude.
We're nuts. We're building the sales team at the steel company, but we're like, okay, they're just selling steel. Let's just go to all these other things.
So you were making a bunch of cash from this steel, and then you're like, okay, let's make more cash. So we'll do the life thing, and then we'll go do the vodka.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had a bunch of employees too, so it wasn't like just us. It was just we had tons of people running around doing things.
Sweet. And then so the life thing made a ton of cash, right? Or no? Because you need a lot of runway.
You need a lot of runway.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then the vodka thing. So you said the glass costs the most expensive, taxes second most. So did you buy a vodka company and then try to grow it, or did you start your own?
No, bought it.
Yeah, because you guys are PE investors. I figured you would have bought one.
One of the guys that, so basically let me just put it this way. All the people who are good at math at our firm were like, don't do it. And then the guy that had all the money was like, I want to own a vodka company. We're like, okay, well, if you really want to do it, we'll hang out with you.
Sweet. Yeah. I love that you're like, all the math guys were like, this isn't going to work.
Terrible.
Because they were just looking at all the financial models of this vodka company, and they're like, there's no rev, like expenses and rev.
No way.
Wow. The guy just like, I don't care. I want a vodka company.
He just wanted it. Well, it made him friends. Like, he lost a lot of money, made a lot of friends out of it. But
now, if I ever want to do a tequila company in the future, do I have a better shot because it's tequila, not vodka, or no?
Well, I don't know. I'm actually allergic to tequila.
Dude, well, the funny part is I don't drink anymore. So
whenever I drink tequila, I break out in black eyes and handcuffs.
Dude, that's what happens to me when I drink vodka. I'm allergic to vodka. Can you believe that? I would drink a ton of vodka in college, and I get super red and all, messed up. Anyways, okay. So you're doing all this crazy shit.
I've never been arrested. Don't worry.
You haven't been on American Greed yet.
Not yet.
Okay. So you do the awesome, you do this like 3 business company. I'm sure there were a bunch of other things that you guys got into, but these are the coolest that we talk about. And then you take the sales training. Do you leave this ops company that you're working for?
Yeah.
You quit, do the sales training, and then now you got to start up a consultancy, right?
Yep.
Okay. So walk us through the training and what you did there and then how you built up a company and how that went.
Yeah, the training was great. It was just gave me fundamental skills to be able to have selling conversations, which is the opposite of just say what you think, which doesn't work.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
So I knew some guys that had a software development business. And so I started talking to them about figuring out a way to do the analytics thing at scale using software. And this was when business intelligence was getting really hot, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, this was like right when Tableau, ClickView, there's so many of MicroStrategy, like all these BI companies were blowing up.
You heard of Burst?
Yeah.
So Burst had a really good partner program. So basically we put together this 3-way partnership with me, the software development firm, and Burst. And so we were going to sell and implement Burst because it seemed like an awesome tool, which it is. And so we did that and we had quick success.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
At the Burst user conference, they had a demo competition on who could put together the best demo of the product. So I'm sitting here doing my sales training and I'm just listening to the market. I'm listening to all the prospects in light of my sales training. Like, what problem are we solving to them? What pain do they have? What are the specifics around each one of these things? So I'm listening to all these people. I'm like, okay, I think the best way to do a demo is just boom, show them here's the future state where all your pain goes away and let's back into the details. Whereas a lot of people do these demos where they start with the login screen. They're like, first you log in and then you do all these things and then you lost everybody from day one. So I won the demo contest and just crushed it.
No shit. And the demo contest. So how you said you won that by going, the demo that you did, because I always look at these demo contests and I always try to learn from them, probably like a lot of people from our audience.
Yeah.
So what was the demo like? You said start with the end in mind, like at the beginning.
Start with the end in mind. Just this is like demo fundamentals, but start with the end in mind, and then just work backwards, doing something that is really engaging with the audience, but speaks to acute pain points that you're solving instead of just a feature dance. So that was fun. I do that. I get off stage and all these people start coming up and talking to me. One of them kicks me a job offer. He's like, hey, come work at our company. We'll give you the same financial arrangement you have on your own, plus with those guys, and we'll give you a marketing budget. And I was thinking, well, that's pretty cool. I should probably just do that.
Yeah, you're like, this sounds great.
Yeah, so we did that. And then fast forward to the next year, we won Partner of the Year globally over 50 other partners. And I was literally spun that practice up from scratch. They had never closed a deal with Burst before. We did like 21 deals over the course of the year, which in BI is a good number of deals.
And that was that Ravel or what?
That was Burst. No, it was CoreSource was the
CoreSource. Yeah. So CoreSource is the one that recruited you away from your own thing.
Yeah.
And then you said out of 80 partners, you guys were like number one.
We were number one out of 50.
Okay, let's talk about that. Because what did you do there? What was the big sales success or like learning that you did there that made you number one out of 80?
Just did really good discovery and limited the demo to the specific things that we uncovered in discovery.
Wow.
And then got good at managing resistance.
Okay. And when you say doing really great discovery, because it was funny, Sherry Levine just posted on LinkedIn about discovery and I commented on it today. Because I believe discovery is critical as well. Like what is really good discovery? Like how did you do really good discovery?
Well, I've learned a lot since then. So I have a little different opinion on what really good discovery is today, but really good, let's just talk across the time period since we're going in order a little bit here. Really good discovery is understanding the prospect's pain at as deep of level as you possibly can. And the challenge is a lot of salespeople stop at initiative. They're like, oh, they have an initiative to do that. Initiative isn't even pain. That's not even a problem. So like companies have problems, people have pain. That's the first distinction that folks need to understand. That's an important one. And then the second one is that just because someone has an initiative doesn't mean something's going to happen. I mean, I have an initiative to eat lunch today, but whatever, like what's going to cause me to eat lunch at 1 o'clock because I have an initiative to eat lunch at 1 o'clock or because I'm really hungry and my stomach is in pain. And that's not going to happen until 7 or 8 tonight. And that's the difference. You're not going to create urgency with the prospect just because somebody somewhere wrote something on a piece of paper that said we have an initiative to do whatever. So
right, that's a good one.
But then, the other thing is, really just managing the resistance that comes out of the sales process. And I think when you're talking about something like BI, the primary resistance people have is skepticism that it's going to work. So I've got all this data. We can't really see what we need, but we've tried these things in the past. They didn't work. So why is yours going to work? I don't believe that what you have works for me right now, any of this kind of stuff. And that's where demos come in handy. But the one thing I did when I was working with those folks that just seemed to do it was I'd say, okay, what's the most important report that you need to see? They tell me it's the lifetime value of the customer. Okay.
Great.
What are the 2 or 3 data sources that you would need to see that? And it was X, Y, and Z. Okay. Can we extract those into a spreadsheet? Well, I bet we could do that. Okay. Could you send those to me? Do we need to do an NDA? Yeah. If we do an NDA, we can send them to you. Can we spend 30 minutes next week showing you specifically how we can take you from a world where you can't calculate the LTV of a customer to where you can do it inside of a mouse click inside a burst? And then that was the path. And obviously there's more to it than that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Figuring out that the buyer's over here and they think that your product's something that may or may not work. You're over here, you think it's the coolest thing ever. Like, how do you get these circles to overlap?
Yeah, I love that. And it's funny, just being a CEO and founder now, I stare at the BI tools every second of every day. I got it on both my phones. I got it on my desk, my 3 laptops. I got it on every screen in the office. Like, it's so critical. And one of the core things that I look at every day is the LTV, in addition to the MRR, ARR, churn, quick ratio, all the above. So I love that. Yeah, dude. So, okay. So you're doing discovery. So like, to uncover not just initiative, right? To go deeper, what are some of your favorite discovery questions when working with prospects?
My favorite discovery questions are just active listening. It's you get into the flow, and if you check out Triangle Selling, we get pretty deep into this. But let me back up a little bit. The discovery question to us is something that looks like this. It's the initial discovery question is a close-ended question. A lot of people are like, oh, you start with an open-ended question. Well, if you start with an open-ended question, the prospect's probably going to start talking about something that you don't even do. Especially, hey, Brandon, so what's your biggest initiative? We really need a marketing automation system. Well, I'm sorry, we don't have one of those. Or you go over there like, we really need web leads. And you're like, oh, yeah, we can do that. And then you're jumping across the table and they're like, yeah, but is that really what you guys do? Or you're just saying that because I said that?
Yep, makes total sense.
I'm a real big fan of starting with closed-ended, then moving into open-ended. And if you do something like, Brandon, I'm working with startup CEOs that are concerned that they might not be able to hit their 2019 revenue targets. They're frustrated by some of the things they hear the folks say on the phone. And they're anxious about how they're going to expand into EMEA in the next 24 months. That's not something that you're worried about, is it?
Boom, love that.
Now I got 3 things out there. I'm using concerned and anxious. I'm using emotional words, so I'm keeping it at the personal level. And again, pains related to people, problems related to companies. And then I end it in a disqualification statement, which improves the probability that you're going to be honest with me. Because if I say, that's something you need, right? Then you're going to be like, well, yeah, sure. You're going to give me some measured response that's some degree of positive. But if you kick it over in a negative, you're like, well, I'm not worried about 1 and 2, but 3 is interesting. Tell me more about 3. And then we can start going on into we call it a priority path, where we ask a sequence of questions to get to where it's an actual priority for the prospect, or we DQ.
Ah, nice. I like that priority path. So that close-ended question then kind of takes them down this path where you could further qualify to see if it's an opportunity or DQ. And it's interesting. Do you feel that a lot of salespeople will try to take them down like a priority path just to keep the opportunity open when it should really be DQ'd?
Yeah, there's a lot of hope out there, man.
Hopium. I call it hopium. Smoking the hopium, man.
The hopium.
Dude, I try to train my reps to not smoke the hopium every day. I'd rather have way less deals and no hopium in the pipe.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay.
I want to go into a meeting and say, I'm going to DQ the hell out of this prospect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Dude, I love that. I love it. Okay. So you're crushing it at Core Source Technology Group, right?
Yeah.
That's the one where you guys 80 partners, number one, and you did that because you had badass sales discovery.
Discovery, and then the demo tied specifically to the pain that we're trying to solve, and it used their data, because it's not that hard. It's not that hard to do a custom demo if you use your noggin. It's like, okay, I'm not going to hook up to your ERP system. Do you believe that we don't have connectors to ERP systems? Do you believe that Sequoia Capital gave it $80 million when we can't even connect to QuickBooks? Is that the conversation we're having? No. Okay, cool. That's not the conversation we're having. The conversation we're having is, can we transform your company's data into something? You've given me 3 spreadsheets. This is it, right? Yes. Good. Boom. Done. See? Next. What have I failed to show you today? I'm going to go grab some more water, so we'll just keep walking.
Yeah. No, I love that. That makes total sense. Okay. Yeah. So the demo is highly focused on what the prospect cares about, what the prospect's interested in. So you're not wasting their damn time.
Yep.
Makes total sense. And then, okay. So you're number one at CoSource. And then what happens? And then what's next?
So then the burst channel VP comes out and says, "Hey, we're making the comp plan better for partners next year." And I was like, "Well, I don't believe that." So she shows me the numbers, and it actually cut it by 80%.
Cut the comp for partners by 80%?
Yep. So I told my boss, who was the president of the company, I said, "Well, they're cutting the comp by 80%. What are we going to do about that?" He was like, "Well, I don't know. I can't really just give you as much money as I gave you this year." I was like, "Well, we don't work for free."
Right.
So
You're like, I got to get out, huh?
I said, "Give me your best shot." So he sent me a spreadsheet over. I was like, "Love you, man. Can't do it." So I just bounced. So I quit this is the other thing I love doing. So I'm a big gambler in my personal and professional life. So I quit my job and I was going to Walgreens to get a Coke, because I really like Coca-Colas. I don't do the other kind. Just for the record.
Oh my God. I love this.
Yeah.
We're shooting this on a Sunday afternoon.
Down at Walgreens Incorporated. And so I call my mom. She says, "Hey, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm good. I'm going to move to San Francisco in probably like 3 weeks." And then she gave me that whole, I think it was the first time she ever did this to me. She said, "Is everything okay?" I was like, yeah, everything's cool. I just think it's the right thing to do. So my buddy was getting married in Washington, some stupid island off the coast of Washington. One of those weddings where you're a real jerk because you make all your friends do this thing that requires 2 airplanes and an hour drive. But once you're there,
oh my God.
Yeah. So we
destination wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. So I show up or you could take 1 plane and then a 4-hour drive. And so I get there and one of the guys, we're all sitting around having a beer, and he says, "Why did you drive instead of take the plane?" I said, "Well, I had, I weighed 200 something pounds, and I've got 50, 75 pounds of luggage. So it was too much for the little seaplane." He said, "Why did you bring 70 pounds of luggage to Frank's wedding?" I said, "Oh, I'm moving to San Francisco." He's like,
"Oh my gosh.
You get a new job?" Yeah. I said, "Nope." He said, "Where are you living at?" I said, "I don't know." So I sleep on my buddy's floor on an air mattress, and I didn't have a job and I didn't have any place to live. And that was just the start of my Silicon Valley tour.
Wow. So when they gave you the shitty comp and you're like, "This is garbage," what made you decide to just quit right away and not continue working while looking for a Silicon Valley job? Like, what made you decide, like, just whatever, I'm done?
I don't believe you're in the same position when you've got a job and you're looking for another job. You're not putting your all into finding out what you want to do. And it's a huge distraction. I don't know. It's like, if you don't want to work somewhere, why would you still work there? And I get it. If you got 3.5 kids and 2.5 cars and a 4.5 bedroom house and all this financial stuff, but I rent, and I really like being around people. So I always have roommates too. And I just keep my personal burn. I mean, my personal burn's usually super high, but it's always on stupid stuff that I can cut back on.
Oh my gosh. I love that you call it my personal burn, dude. I've never heard anyone say my personal burn. Like they typically call it like personal expenses or budget. And you're like, yeah, my personal burn. Cause I got my startup cash burn. That's awesome.
No, did I really need to fly 150,000 miles last year? Did I really have to go on 2 vacations to Asia in Q3? No, but I did, and I don't care.
I was about to ask, what is your personal burn typically on that? So the vacations across overseas, that's awesome.
If I just want to go, I mean, one time 2 years ago, I woke up and I was like, I want to go to Thailand tomorrow, and so I did.
Dude, that's amazing. I'm like that too. Like I like to be all in because if you're all in, you're all in committed. Every startup. Everything I've done, I've gone all in. Like this is my 3rd startup and 2 previous sales careers. Dude, I go all in all the time. Like my first startup success, my second startup lost millions going all in. You don't have an option when you're all in. It's like make it or break it. So I agree with you. But like a lot of people out there, salespeople out there, you may be thinking like, well, I'll search for a job while I've got this bad comp job, sales job. And Cory, your point is like, dude, you're not going to go as hard, as committed at the new gig while having a current gig.
Well, here's the thing. And I mean this in the nicest way, and I don't want to sound like a jerk, but if you don't have enough cash to just cover yourself, then you probably weren't that good at sales in the first place. And if you're a degenerate gambler, you're still just going to run it up on the credit card, so that's not an issue. So if you're good at sales and or a degenerate gambler, then you have no issue quitting your job without a job.
Yep. Yeah. That's
awesome. If you're both, then you're in really good shape.
Yeah. And the funny part is my first startup was for the gambling industry.
Oh, hell yeah.
So like I'm a all-in degenerate gambler, startup entrepreneur, salesperson. So I love that, dude.
Well, don't let me forget. We'll talk about this later. But my novel that I'm working on, that I'm writing club in a couple hours on, is about a degenerate gambler that goes into sales tech.
Oh, dude! If they did a movie about my background, Runner, with JT and Ben Affleck, man.
Runner, never funner.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so you're like, I'm headed out to San Fran. You're just why Silicon Valley? Why were you like, yo, I'm out of Houston, Texas. I'm headed to like, where the hell did that come from? Why?
Well, because I saw how fast all these tech companies were ramping. I was like, oh, they have a little success, and they go like this, and they go up and away. It just seemed like a fun thing to be a part of.
Well, and if your background from Wharton and the investing stuff, you know the valuations, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you know the financial models? You're like, if you get to this MRR, 10, 15, 20x multiple, you're like, fuck, I just got to find something that's good and then roll.
It's like you're living in dog years.
Like dog years, what do you mean?
It goes 7 times faster.
Yeah, it does go 7 times faster. Now that I know that, like, okay, so you head out to San Fran. Well, you go to your buddy's wedding, which sounded like a blast. You had to drive. You couldn't fly because of the wait limit.
Travel this stupid ass island, but with a ferry, whatever. It was fun.
So then right after the wedding, you drive to Silicon Valley?
Well, I flew on a commercial airliner to Silicon Valley. This was just the plane was the seaplane there. But I flew to San Francisco. I guess sleep on my buddy's floor, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I had some options. I actually got 2 job offers the first week from people I worked with before, because they're like,
that's awesome.
I was head of sales at CoreSource, and they're like, you left CoreSource, why don't you come work with us? But it was this, like, one was a partner, one was the actual Burst, the software company. I was like, I don't really know if I want to do this or not. So I ended up, I did go hang out at Burst for like 3 weeks working on a product that they wanted to build, as a sales strategy product type things, like an example of how you implement their platform. So that was fun. Yep. But I was like, I'm not doing this long term. This is a really interesting project and I want to do it.
Yep. Okay.
It was a sales analytics thing. And I was looking for jobs, and I found this company that was Series A, looked like they were great on paper, had a bunch of really strong logos on their website. So it looked like they had really started to get product market fit, had nobody on the team know anything about sales, blah, 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 blah. So I went to work there.
Great. And that was Revel?
Yeah. And then 6 weeks in, corporate counsel from several of the logos on the website called and said, remove those. We're not customers. And I was like, what?
Oh, shit.
Ooh. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, you were there. So you were there for almost 2 years, right? So like,
I was there for 1 year and 3 months.
And Ravel, like Ravel Law is what it's called. What type of stuff did they do?
Analytics on top of case law.
On top of what?
Case law. So lawyers can analyze previous cases and figure out how they're going to
case law, analytics on top of case law. Got it. Yeah. Damn. Okay. My fiance is a lawyer, so I relate to case law. What, did that get you jacked up? I mean, I know you like analytics, but dude, I used to study political science in college before doing economics and advertising management. I wanted to blow my brains out doing the case law stuff.
I mean, I didn't really spend much time reading the case law.
Yeah, you were just selling it to the law firms, I assume.
Yeah, to the law firms. So when I started it, I think their ARR was like $400.
Okay. So oh man, dude. So like $30 a month a license or something?
Well, no, they just had never sold a B2B deal because they didn't know how to sell. But they also didn't know how to build a product, it turns out. So that was fun.
So okay. So it was, when you were selling there, it was hard to sell because the product wasn't nailed. No one knew how to sell. So you come in, like, what was your biggest learning experience or sales takeaway there?
Well, so a handful of them. The first is, if you're going to be the first sales hire at a company, then really vet if the product is sellable or not. And I'm not sitting here making it like I sold several $100,000 worth of software licenses. So that's fine. But fast forward a year, my sales coach fires me and says, I will not work with you anymore. Your product is unsellable. Your market is terrible. Your market is shrinking. The other companies in your space are not having success either. And like the most prominent company in our space.
Your Sandler training coach told you this?
Yeah.
Wow. Because you were working with him to figure out how to sell this Ravel Law stuff.
Yeah. So I was doing one-on-ones with a sales coach my entire time working there every week for an hour.
Dude, that's amazing.
Basically, it's like, look, the number one company in our industry tried to raise a Series B for a year and failed because it's just, there's no there. So I was like,
there's no TAM, there's no need. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Market's terrible. Like lawyers, the partnership model is they split all the money and go home at the end of the year. So anything they spend, you're taking it directly out of their pocket.
Yep. Yeah. That's the LP model.
Anyways. Yeah. So takeaways from there are, first sales hire needs to vet the hell out of their company and push for monster equity stakes. Be like, look, if I'm taking you from zero to somewhere, my equity should be through the roof because you're nowhere without this revenue. Like, company's dead, default dead if it doesn't hit certain. Yeah.
Dead completely. What do you think like a monster equity stake should be if you're the first salesperson?
If you're first salesperson
with zero in revenue, right?
Yes, you're like at least 2 points.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I think that's absolutely fair. I would argue more,
yeah, sure.
But also like being a CEO and founder, like it depends on how much has been invested in tech and all that other jazz and investors. There's a lot of factors, but yeah, I agree. I think that's fair.
4 years with a cliff. And so if it doesn't work, you get nothing.
Yep. So, okay. So you got to get a lot of equity. You got to vet the hell out of the product. Any other takeaways from that experience?
Well, so this is the interesting thing. So I told him, I said, look, if I get to, I don't remember, it's like, if I get $200K in revenue, can I hire a couple sales folks? They're like, sure. Because they literally, my second month there, the CEO and co-founder sat down and said, look, we know the product's not sellable. We're just going to pay you a fully ramped commission draw, whatever, non-recoverable draw. So just were giving me my commission checks because they knew I couldn't. They're like, this is not sellable. I was like, okay. But it was cool because then I got to work on marketing. So I did the whole HubSpot University, learned about how to do marketing for an early stage company. So it was a lot of fun.
I can't believe they just paid you out because they felt bad.
Well, they knew it wasn't. They were like, they knew I was going to quit. Like, I'm not going to work at a company and try to sell something that's not sellable. They also didn't want us just nuking the market. Right.
With like an unbaked product that would then burn all these bridges.
Yeah. So then the most pivotal point was when I'm in Chicago with one of my salespeople, super awesome senior sales guys, one of my good friends. And we're having dinner with another friend who was a friend of mine from back in the days and also went to law school with the two guys that started my company. And I'll never forget it. So Rick, my salesperson, he's looking at me. He goes, wait, let me get this straight. And he points to the other guy, Chris, the lawyer. He goes, you're friends with Cory? He says, yes. He goes, you're friends with those other guys? Yes. You're a third-year litigation associate at a big law firm? Yes. We built our product for people just like you? Yes. And you don't use our product? Correct. Am I missing something here?
He said this at dinner.
Yeah.
Like with you guys. And was that like the sign where you're like, I got to get out?
Yeah, it was like, and then 2 weeks later, my sales coach fired me. So I told my sales coach that story. And he was like, dude, if the people you're friends with that you built the product for will not use it, then, and you're not rapidly iterating on the product in a way that they will use it, then what are you doing? Wasting your life.
Yeah. And that company, I think, didn't it get acquired by LexisNexis eventually?
Acquired.
Right. Like, yeah. And that's the funny part, guys, too, like, not to get off topic, but when you hear about all these acquisitions, if you don't see a big money sign, then it was a shitty acquisition and no one made any money.
Undisclosed.
Everyone talks about VentureBeat and all TechCrunch. Oh, yeah. This company got acquired. If it's undisclosed, no one made any fucking money.
Correct.
like the LexisNexis acquisition, right? Yeah. Which just means they folded and gave the fucking tech to Lexis probably.
And the engineers got jobs.
Yep. Yeah. And let me give you, I'm not gonna get off topic, but this is fun. I don't get to relate with people like you too often, so I'm having a lot of fun. Okay, so a lot of takeaways there, right? It sounds like your biggest learning experience was vet the damn product before you take the number one sales job.
Well, it's that, but also just acknowledge it for what it is. And so after a few months, I was like, okay, so these guys are basically just paying me to do whatever I want. And
right, which literally they were.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to give you your full comp commission because you can't sell it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I'll sell it. Like we sell, whatever. Like we said, we sold a bunch of stuff. I don't, maybe I feel bad. Maybe people didn't actually use it. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't actually use it, but whatever. That's horrible. It's not a position you want to be in.
Yeah. So
if you have budget to buy things like, oh, let's get marketing set up and let's hire sales development and customer success, all this kind of stuff. Just enjoy the rodeo and take some batting practice.
Yep. And then, so let's move on from Ravel. What's next, man?
So then I decided to start a software company that did sales training because I was trying to automate my sales coach.
Trying to automate your sales coach. You're like, okay, this coach talks to me about this. Is like, what do you walk us through that? What does that mean?
Well, it was basically, what are all the things a salesperson needs to know to be successful? And how do we create some out of the box content, help them really understand that content, test them on it, help them really solidify their understanding, and then allow companies to customize it how they operate. Okay.
So almost like a if this then that type of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like just a college program for sales.
Okay, like a course.
Like a course thing. But the funny thing is that it ended up just being our books.
Okay.
Nobody wanted that in software format. So then we pivoted once to sales coaching, to build an app inside of Salesforce that was more of an if this then that, like, oh, we're at stage 3, so here's the things that are going to come up, especially if we're talking to CFO, blah, 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 and that kind of thing. And then finally, that didn't really land with user engagement out of the gate.
Oh, and you had that in
Salesforce.
In Salesforce.
Yeah.
I remember this, by the way. I feel like I remember, dude, right when you and I met, you were working on the app in Salesforce. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you're testing it and you're like, no one's using this really.
Well, yeah. Based on my experience with the other guys, I was like, if people don't love using this and they don't actually use it, then I'm not building it, because then it's just going to end up being a house of cards.
Yeah. And you're going to waste your time. Like when you could have found the next big thing.
Yeah, exactly. So then we pivot one more time. So then we bring on a head of product who's really strong. And this guy, Phil Walt, phenomenal guy. And he ends up taking us down a path of knowledge management, which is that's where we landed. It was the right move for us. But still, the challenge with knowledge management is two things. One is getting the stuff in there. Brandon has all this knowledge in his head. How do we get it in there? And then two, how do we get it in there in a way that's easy for people to consume, that doesn't create this illusion of mastery where they see it once and never want to engage with it again?
Yep. So not only creating the content, making it usable, and then making it almost repeatable, like I'm not going to say readily available, but just create it, use it, repeat usage.
Yeah, like get you to, because the thing is that senior salespeople or people who are good at selling, they don't need access to all your stuff. They need access to relevant customer stories, new competitive intel, new product stuff. That's it. Maybe a couple other things, but they don't need to know here's basic things. They already know that, or they should.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like just in time. I'm a big fan of JIT, like just in time knowledge, like just in time knowledge management. Okay. So you pivot from the app exchange, you go into knowledge management, but you said there were challenges there. So then what?
So it's still on the app exchange. And so at this point my old sales coach had joined us at this point, but as a co-founder. The
Sandler guy.
Yeah. So he quit Sandler and started working with us. And we were working on just trying to figure out how to make this thing work. And everyone kept saying, hey, if you do all this work for us, then we'll pay for the software. We're like, okay, so we're selling software for peanuts and then doing all this consulting for free. And that seems backwards. So we flipped the business model and said, let's charge for the services piece, because that's what people really want. People don't have what they need on the services side, whether it's playbooks or training or coaching or manager coaching. I think that's the biggest one. The biggest one's manager coaching, because if your managers aren't in a position to both hire the right people and then coach the right people with either them doing the training or some kind of training organization around them, then everything's just going to fall apart. So we just went all in on the services piece, which aligns with our book writing addiction, and which
I love, which I'm trying to learn from you about the book writing addiction, because I've got a writing addiction, but I'm excited to learn more about that. So you're like, okay, we're going to launch services, we're going to drop the software, we're going all in on services, and to sell services, you need a shitload of content, which then paired with your sales writing addiction. So then it's like the two worlds perfectly collide, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, because my thing with sales, especially when it comes to services, is two rules. I have two fundamental rules. One, people can't buy from you if they don't know that you exist. Yeah?
Hands down.
Fundamental. True. Second one is, if people think that you know what you're talking about, your sales cycles are shorter.
I love that you say if people think. Like, not if you know, but if people think that you know what you're talking, is that a sale? So the two sales takeaways. One, what was the first one? You need attention.
People can't buy from you if they don't know that you exist. So
people can't buy from you.
For example.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah.
But it took me 4 years. It took me like fucking, dude, I got videos 4 years ago that was 7 views, people can't buy from you if they don't know you exist. Yeah. And then number 2, what was this other gold piece?
People think that you know what you're talking about, then your sales cycles are shorter.
Yeah, people think that you know what you're talking about, sales cycles are shorter.
Yeah, so you asked me earlier in the pre-interview about why our website. So our website has nothing on it except for 3 links to our books.
I was so confused. Dude, you confused the shit out of me.
And we're just big time in it, man. Like, you go to a lot of the private equity companies and hedge funds and things like that have the same thing, because look, if I put a video on my website, I've got videos, Holman's got videos, we got videos all over of us doing stuff on stage. We can talk about all the different things that we do. Is that going to make you more likely to buy from us? Or is it just going to arouse skepticism and be like, oh, you do that, but do you do it this way? It's premature to have that conversation. I'll have the conversation if it's necessary. Read the book, see if you like us. If you do, great. If you don't, then go work with somebody else. That's cool. MBD, big pond.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would just challenge it a little bit. Like, Because I couldn't tell if you just wanted to sell books or if you also had the sales consultant, like, because I know you, right? So I knew you had the sales agency, consulting agency. But dude, who cares? Like, everyone's got a different take. Everyone thought Benioff was fucking nuts, and now look at him.
I'm fully booked. I've been fully booked for 6 months. I'm fully booked through Q1. Like, I'm not out.
Love it.
I'm always looking for the right clients, and talking to a couple of them next week are really, really interesting. I mean, my mindset still disqualify the hell out of them, because that's what you should be doing during the sales process, but very interesting companies.
So, dude, and I love that. I mean, it sounds like you had a lot of success and failure with like software sales, like a lot of success in software sales and analytics sales, but then also like failure with product and just learning from those experiences. And so have I, dude. I mean, like I said, like my biggest failure was like I built a mobile marketing software and it fucking cost me $3 million, and I went broke and had to steal to eat, So like, I totally get that. Yep. But then you crush the services on the agency, you crush the book writing, which is freaking awesome. And guys, if you haven't picked up, I mean, so we got a few books here: the Sales Enablement Playbook, Sales Development, the Guide for Sales Development Reps who are looking for a job, trying to improve their performance, thinking about future career in sales. And then we just got Triangle Selling. Pick all these up on Amazon.
Full stack,
the full stack. And then let's back into, because your experience is wild, sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Cory, if you had to go back in time to when you first started in sales, if you had to hire someone, give them one secret to sales success, what is your one secret the audience is dying to know?
It's focusing on rigor and fundamentals.
Focus on rigor and fundamentals.
That's it. So let me give you an example. So I didn't talk about this earlier because look, it sounds like career ADD. I call it my CEO training program: finance, ops, and sales. Those are 3 things CEOs care about, right? And so when I was in my 20s, I did a program called the Chartered Financial Analyst Program. It's really, talk to anybody that's fund manager or something. I'm trying to think of, a lot of people don't have, whatever, it doesn't matter. So Chartered Financial Analyst, very, very hard. It's an incredible 200 hours of study to pass each level. There's 3 levels. And even when you take the test, over 60% of the people fail each time. It's like the bar exam for finance people.
Wow.
And so I did this. I passed the first 2 levels, and then I stopped doing it because I got into more sales job. But what I realized was that.
And was this test for like wealth managers, or what was this for?
So the wealth managers have a different one called Chartered Financial Planner that's like 10 times easier. CFP. CFA is for people that are more like hedge fund analysts and things like that.
Okay, got it.
And so the content is literally thousands of pages. And then you've got to take these tests, and the tests are basically impossible. They're incredibly hard. And I'm thinking about, okay, I did that. And then you look at lawyers do the bar exam, medical doctors go through all the different steps. You've got the accountants that do the CPA and usually have to have a master's in accounting. And then in sales, you take somebody who graduated with a B average from XYZ State University and political science, throw them into a sales job and say, hey, go hit your quota. And that's just absurd to me. And so my secret is nothing more than develop an incredibly strong fundamental understanding of how sales works. And so your skill in your craft parallels that of your friends that are accountants and lawyers and doctors.
Yeah, I love that. So you said the fundamentals and the rigor to stick to the fundamentals, right?
Yeah, just don't think I've seen that before, and so I know it. Think, can I replicate that under pressure? Because there's 3 levels here. There's knowing the stuff. There's knowing how to apply it. There's knowing how to apply it, being able to apply it, and then being able to apply it under pressure. Could you run a discovery call with Benioff? Yes or no? The answer is no. You're not where you need to be yet.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm re-listening to his book. Like this morning, I was re-listening to it because I'm trying to build the next $1 billion sales company. And I'm like, this guy did it. I'm going to copy him and do it.
Well, the thing I'm doing in my personal life to reinforce this is I've been playing pool a lot. So I work with a pool coach 2 hours a week. and my pool coach just rips me apart. And what you realize is that
pool coach, like pool table and whatnot.
Billiards, yeah.
Billiards. That's awesome. By the way, did you see the office? We got a pool table out here. You got to come and visit.
I shouldn't have told you that I have a billiards coach, so when I come to Columbus, I can hustle it.
Yeah, exactly. Shit. I'm actually so glad you told me, dude. You'd be like, hey, man, let's just play for $100. You would have totally hustled me.
I did that to my buddy the other day. He said he was telling me how he was pretty good. And so the break, I just missed the break on purpose. And then I said, I'll re-break. I said, by the way, you want to play for money? He's like, sure. I said, steaks and wine later? He's like, sure. And then I just we split. I was just messing with you. But rule number one is the people that you don't want to play in pool for money are people that will play you in pool for money.
Yep. That's awesome.
But the thing with the pool coach is that if you think of chess, you need to know what to do.
Yep.
In golf, you generally know what to do, especially off the tee or on the green. Maybe the approach shot, you have to figure it out. But it's pretty obvious what you need to do. And then you need to physically do it. With pool, you need to know what to do and you need to physically do it. And it combines the skills that are present in chess and golf, which to me parallel a lot of what happens in a sales conversation or a sales process.
I like that. That's a good analogy. I never thought billiards, know what to do and how to do it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And that tied to your analogy is the fundamentals and the rigor.
Because the fundamentals is like, okay, I know that I should say these things, but do you actually say those things when you're under pressure? And the right way with the right confidence and all that other jazz. And that's where the rigor comes in. So fundamentals is knowing what to say. And then the rigor is like saying it the way that you're supposed to say it and doing it the way that you're supposed to do it. In sequence. So for example, you got to make 8 balls. And then if you're playing a race to 15, you got to win 15 games. And so it's not just, hey, I answered that question, or I asked that question, or I did that thing. It's did you string it all together and actually run out the series against Efren Reyes, who's traditionally been the best player in the world. So
the pool game, you like the games typically go 15 games.
Well, if you're playing a big tournament or something, I'm not at that level yet. I'm still
holy cow.
One of these days.
Okay, so the fundamentals and the rigor. If I'm new to sales, if I'm in sales, I want to get to the top 1%. If I'm in the top 1%, want to become a multi-million-dollar earner, how do I develop fundamentals and rigor in your opinion? Best place to develop those.
I mean, the first one is work for the right people. So find a boss who's really strong fundamentally. Because if your boss I know this one guy, he told me about his old boss. I say, go sit in the lobby until the contract's signed. Or if your boss says, call them 3 times a day from 3 different numbers. And do that to everybody, just do that. And if you're getting that kind of garbage, that's whatever, just do it until you need to get good at that. But once you're good at that, if you're just executing every day, if you're executing every day at things that you're already complete master at, then you've grown out of your cocoon and you should probably go do something else. But the thing with the fundamentals and the rigor is that if you're working for somebody who is 10 times better than you and you want to be like that person, work backwards and figure out what you should be doing today to get on that path.
Yeah. And I would challenge that. Be careful if you're working for the boss that just says call from 3 different numbers or sit in the lobby and get the contract signed. Because I used to work for those guys. Yeah. And they're totally missing the fundamentals of looking at the deal, what needs to get done, who are the DMs, who are the users, who are the influencers, where are they at in the deal? What do you need to do to get them on board? What do we need to do to get the signed? What is the finance budget holder? I mean, there's so many things that with the fundamentals, if like Cory says, you got to work for the people that know that shit, because just calling from 3 different numbers, then what the fuck are you going to say? Right. Okay.
They only picked it up.
They pick up. What are you going to do?
Right. Yeah. If they want to answer your phone calls and return your emails, you probably screwed something up early in the process. So go back and figure that out. Do some forensic analysis. Yep.
Okay. Find a great boss or team management. And then go ahead. You were about to say something else.
And then just have a clear understanding around the skills that you need to develop. Because a lot of people don't know that, because we failed to teach this in college. I don't even think you need to go to college. I think one of the most ridiculous things in the sales talent market today is that people with degrees from colleges are favored over people that don't have degrees from colleges. So the kid selling shoes at Nordstrom's that's been just crushing it for 5 years is at a disadvantage against somebody who got into their safety school and ended up with a C+ average and hung out at the frat house every night. Like, not to get all social justice-y, but that's just kind of ridiculous to me.
Yeah. And I mean, this is coming from the guy that's got the Wharton education.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think
so if you had to go back, would you do the Wharton thing again or no?
Oh yeah, because I'm not trying to be an individual contributor salesperson. I'm trying to take over the world. I'm trying to be a billionaire. So
boom.
I think the Wharton thing's good for that. Wharton actually has produced the most billionaires out of any college.
Boom.
So
well, I didn't go to Wharton, so I'm just going to hang out with you, and then I'll get your Wharton. I'm gonna get your Wharton education through you. You give me the Cliff Notes, dude. I'm a Cliff Note guy. Okay, so that's awesome. So the management, and then you said we kind of got off track. What was the second thing that you said to develop the fundamentals and rigor?
We'll work backwards. Yeah, we're just work backwards from. Put a curriculum together for yourself. And if you don't know how to start, just start asking people and start gathering something. And if you have something that you think is okay, send it to me or Brandon, and we'll put eyes on it for 3 minutes and give you some feedback. And that's it. Like, if you don't have a curriculum around where you need to go, then you're in trouble. I mean, like, I'll tell you, man, I big timed it the other day. So I woke up in the middle of the night, 3:30 in the morning, and I said, I don't like my signature. I said,
like your email signature?
No, my physical signature.
Okay.
I was like, I don't like it.
Did you get a coach?
I said, I always talk about how I want to write 40 books.
How you want to write 40 books?
I want to write 40. And people always say that you should write your goals down, right?
It's so funny because I want to do a book a year. I love that. You're the only person that says I want to write. I've never met someone that said I want to write 40. I thought I was crazy. That's awesome.
Well, I picked 40 because I don't even know if I have it written down. Hold on. Let me see. Oh yeah, I got it right here. So I picked 40 because Peter Drucker wrote 39. Peter Drucker's, I don't know. I have my issues with him, but he was considered the best management thinker of the 20th century.
Yep.
He did 39. We're actually tied given our age right now. So I redid I sat here and I was like, CP40. Because you got to write your goals down. So every time I sign my name when I'm buying stuff at the gas station, grocery store, wherever, I write down the number 40.
That's so awesome.
It's ridiculous, right? But I'm doing it.
So basically, you're reinstating your goals every time that you have to sign something.
Yeah. And that's it. I don't have to write. See that? I don't have to write 40 days. Write 40%. Like CB40. It's like that's what I'm doing.
Love it. Damn. Okay. So we've got the work backwards, create the curriculum. And guys, you don't need to, everyone listening, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's 50,000 different sales courses and curriculum out there. So pick the core fundamentals like Cory's talking about. Maybe it's literally prospecting, the different channels of prospecting. Then you've got discovery. Then you've got pitching. Then you've got follow-up. Then you've got closing. Then you've got objection handling.
And break them down into very granular pieces. So even for prospecting, like, I want to be able to identify not only like good or bad, but like, here's the best or good or okay or unacceptable prospect. So start thinking about it at a more granular level, because I think a lot of times people live in a binary world and they're like, it's either A or B. Like, nah, there's 26 letters in the alphabet, not 2.
Makes total sense. And okay. And then any other pieces of advice for the audience on how to develop the fundamentals and rigor?
Don't take shortcuts. It's hard.
Okay. And when you say don't take shortcuts, like, what do you mean?
If you think here's a very specific example. If you think somebody's ready to buy, but you haven't done everything that your sales methodology prescribes, then you're taking shortcuts. So if you skip a step and say, I think I can skip a step right now because this person's probably just going to buy, that a lot of times blows up in your face.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've had both scenarios. I know the audience probably has had both scenarios, but you're basically saying like, look, follow the fundamentals, develop the rigor to execute the fundamentals, and just make sure you check the boxes when you're working a deal. Yeah. Like if they tell you that they could sign off on it, like double check there's not another decision maker that needs sign off, another person at the org that needs to give them the credit card or the like things like that you're saying.
So for example, in Triangle Selling, we talk about the concept of previous experience. And so if they say I can sign off on this and you're selling an XYZ solution that's similar to an ABC solution, say when you bought the ABC solution, you signed off on that as well. They're like, oh no, I involved Bob. But Bob doesn't need to be involved this time. Oh, maybe they did. Maybe Bob doesn't need to be involved, whatever. So just
double check.
Confirm it, double check. Don't make assumptions. And if you think something, say it. Don't leave things bottled up inside.
That one's gold, dude. That one's gold. Yeah. Whatever you're thinking that you need to ask based on what Cory's saying, fucking ask it.
Yes.
Like you're thinking it, you're going to be thinking about it forever when you do that deal. Ask the prospect.
Yeah. So I'm thinking something right now. Brandon, can I ask you something that might be a little weird?
Sure. Shoot.
Is that real wood behind you?
Absolutely not.
So you gave me permission. And so whatever I say, cool with it, right?
Yeah, no. This is not real wood. And I'm still experimenting on what the background should be. But we just rolled with this one. So it's different. Like I actually personally like the darker wood, but then we used data to tell us what color wood to use. And it was the lighter wood. So that's what we went with. But exactly. Like, dude, if you didn't ask, that would have been on your mind all day. And it would have ruined your day, and then you wouldn't have been able to build $1 billion company because you went to Wharton.
See, this is why I don't say that. This is why I never.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm just kidding. And it's funny because I hate the people that I've been on so many interviews where like they try to like trick you, and this isn't not. The whole point of this interview is to get all the secrets out of Cory so we could all become billionaires. And, like I love it. I love like whatever you're thinking, say it. And then don't skip because we've got tens of thousands of companies and users on our platform, and my salespeople all the time will try to skip a step in Salesforce. Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to check the box. Like, who are the decision makers? Like, they'll check the box, not fill it in. And like, just like you said, Bob, the guy's going to tell you, yeah, I could sign off on it. Okay, well, he doesn't have an expense card, so he can't fucking sign off on shit. He definitely needs someone to talk to get the expense card. So obviously Bob needs to be involved. Like you skip that step, you're done.
Yeah.
What other steps do you think are critical that people skip?
Proposal delivery. So a lot of times people just email a proposal over. Why are we emailing a proposal over instead of scheduling a meeting and starting off with one slide that restates all the pain that we understood and ties that to some kind of financial impact?
Oh, that's a good one, dude. That's a really good one. I love that.
I was just working with a client the other day, and we were prepping for a meeting. First time I'd done a meeting like this with them before to prep for a proposal presentation. So they flip the proposal up on the screen. It's just them. I was like, okay, you guys
no one cares. Yeah.
I was like, let's start with the specific things we uncovered, and then tie that back to something that's measurable. And then we can get into tying how we operate back to that kind of stuff. And that's good. So yeah, that's a step. It's ridiculous. Like if I just flip you over DocuSign, if the person that's the CEO or GM or whoever had said, flip me a DocuSign and I'll get it done. Like, okay, I can probably trust that. But if the director level or manager level says, can you send me a proposal? Then nah.
Yeah, you're recommending, hey, we'll develop the proposal. We'll tie it to financial impact. Let's schedule a quick, 15-minute run through of that. I'm going to put it together, and then we'll walk you through it. Yeah.
Run through and get your quick thoughts and make sure we didn't miss the mark. And this is where language is really important. So that thing I added at the end, make sure we didn't miss the mark. And then this person's like, well, I don't want them missing the mark and me sending it to my VP or C whatever. So that's the thing.
That's smart because when you're on the phone, when you send it to them, Or like, then you could gauge, did we nail it? Did we not nail it? If we didn't nail it, let's revise it. Don't send it to your CEO if we didn't nail it. And then we'll come back and do it again. Like, you don't have that dialogue if he's like, hey, Cory's like, I'm like, hey, Cory, send us a proposal. I need some consulting to grow Seamless to $1 billion company.
Right.
Like, you could send me a proposal. You could send me a proposal, but like, you don't know. Like, maybe I needed help on prospecting. You send me a proposal on sales management or whatever it may be. And I like how you tied to financial impact too. I think a lot of companies miss the mark there where like they're not tying it to the business case and financial impact.
They didn't do good discovery.
Like, what do you need to see to move forward with this? Or, what do your decision makers typically look for when moving forward with a solution like this?
Yeah. And tie it directly as you can to things that they've bought in the past. So the other one, here's another trick that I like, is that when someone says, can you give me an ROI calculation? I'm like, okay. So when someone says, give me an ROI calculation, what they're really saying is that they don't trust that your product actually does what you say it does. And they're like, dance, monkey, dance.
That's funny. That's great. I feel like I tell a lot of people that. Shoot me the ROI calculation.
You tell people that, right?
Yeah, I think I've said that like 3 times this past month.
So here's what we're going to do. So Grant, I'm happy to send you an ROI calculation so I can make it relevant for your organization. Do you mind sharing the ROI calculations that you've created for other products in the past, and then walking me through how you look at the actual ROI on an ongoing basis to make sure that it ties back to what you'd hoped for?
Boom.
And then
that was a great talk track.
Yeah, you're like, okay, never mind, we don't need that. And
because I'm too lazy to even try to, A, I don't have it. B,
I've only used this 3 times and it worked perfectly every single time. And the trick is you got to be careful with the language, because you might come off as a little antagonistic. So language matters. And then the other thing is that, and
that's the rigor that you talked about in your secret, the fundamentals and the rigor. The rigor is Cory delivering that sales script in a way that's like, hey, I'd be happy to put together that ROI calculator. And then you went to the talk track of like, for past products that you bought, what were the ROI calculators? What did they look like? What were they tied to? Let's go through those examples so I can model mine to accomplish the similar goal that you're looking for.
Relevant for you.
Yep.
So these are the things. These little nuances matter so much. And then the other piece is that if you say stuff like that, then it gives you access to hire people higher in the organization. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, I'm really struggling to get past the gatekeepers to the CEO. They sell the SMB. I was like, are you asking questions that only the CEO would know answers to? And they're like, what, for example? And then we start walking through blah, blah, blah. But the CEO is the only one that has a relationship with a bank, unless they have a CFO. So small business, you got the bank relationship, the insurance company relationship, board of directors, things like this. So if your product impacts the CEO's relationship with these really powerful external entities in the small business land, then asking questions that can only be answered by the CEO is a way to at least begin to start to get access to that higher level.
I love it, man. I love it. So the sales secret, to sum it up again, to maximize sales, you have to develop fundamentals and you have to develop rigor, right? That's the Twitter hashtag for your secret, the title of the secret.
Oh yeah.
I love it. And then we went through a ton of different ways to develop the fundamentals, to develop the rigor so that you can play pool, so that you can play sales like a champion. Not only know what you need to do, but how to do what you need to do to be successful, to maximize revenue, to maximize sales, to maximize your income. Wow, Cory, I know this, like, my mind's blown. I got a lot to put into place right after this conversation, but this was incredible. I know the audience and I learned a lot. Where can people connect with you, follow you, learn from you more? Where at?
LinkedIn's the best. Just type my name and you'll find me.
Okay, LinkedIn. And Again, thank you so much, Cory Bray. Cory is the author of Sales Development, Cracking the Code of Outbound Sales. He's also the author of the Sales Enablement Playbook, Triangle Selling, and he's the managing partner of Clozeloop, the sales agency that will take you to $1 billion. Cory Bray, thank you so much for tuning in. And to our audience, thank you for listening to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Order a copy of the book at secretsalesbook.com. That's secretsalesbook.com. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%. We release new episodes every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to never miss an episode.